Hi, this is Lori from GLP-1 Journey in Review. Today I'm doing a video in my interview series where we talk to people about their weight loss journeys. Today we have Zach Jack, whose information will be linked down below in the description. So after you're done watching this, please head over to his channel, like and subscribe. He's got some really great content. We're going to also talk about that in here. I want to remind everybody that I am not a healthcare provider. My guest is not a healthcare provider. We're only talking about what works for us. This is not intended for medical advice. If you are planning on going on a weight loss journey, I do strongly advise that you check with your healthcare provider. All that being said, Zach, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Lori, and it's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to have our conversation today. My name's Zachary Jacobs, my internet alias, Zach Jack. Real name, Zach Jack Jacobs, made for the screen, maybe. Maybe my mom was thinking ahead. I'm down just about 50 pounds, 48 to
Okay.
be exact, thank you, and started my GLP-1 journey in October 2023. And I don't know how much you want me to go into it here before we get into the conversation,
No,
but I
go
think
ahead, as much as you want.
the one interesting thing, at least I find interesting, or a little of a different perspective, is I didn't go out looking for it, and unfortunately, it found me by the way of a doctor's visit. So I was pretty, trepid going into it. I was really nervous. Couldn't believe I was at a point in my life where a medical professional suggested it to me, and dipped my toes in, slowly but surely,
Mhm.
and ended up having such incredible experience. I've been evangelized, and I'm here talking to Lori today, and really think it's we'll see where time takes us and what long-term side effects start to appear, if any. Hopefully none for you and me both in our community. But I find it to be a really special, transformative experience, especially as it relates to getting just back on track with respect to building sustainable, healthy habits that you can
Mhm.
consistently exhibit throughout your daily life.
Which medication are you on?
So currently I'm on Wegovy, like the 0.25, the intro dose. I started on Ozempic. I brought some props. Um,
Mhm.
and the last time I took a shot was August 13th. So I'm in the phase of my journey where I'm kind of slowing down and starting to really experiment, if you will, with how my body reacts to the medication while I'm very conscious of it. So at the beginning, from October 2023 to July 2024, I did not miss a shot. I was very religious and about my Ozempic dosage. I took every Sunday about 1 p.m., 0.25 milligrams. And I then went off cold turkey in July 2024 because I hit my uh, my weight goal that I set for myself, which was 165
Mhm.
pounds, which I entered college in. So nothing scientific. I just wanted to be a freshman in college again, at least in weight. Well, I just celebrated my 34th birthday, so don't we're getting up there. Um, and went off of it cold turkey July 2024. And from July 2024 till February 2025, I kept all the weight off. I didn't gain a single pound really. I maintained all of the healthy habits I'd built over my initial
Mhm.
9 months. And I also didn't tell my doctor. So when I saw him again, so I have a minor heart condition called a bicuspid aortic valve. I'm
Mhm.
tracked annually by a cardiologist. And so when I went back for my annual checkup, had told him that I had gone off cold turkey. He kind of gave me a high five and a congratulations, but said you should really be on the maintenance dose for a little bit longer, continue getting the BMI down to the healthy range. And I saw you speak in one of your videos that's not the greatest, barometer of health, but it's what we're working with. And so
Mhm.
since February, I've been on a maintenance dose of Wegovy, switched for the pricing and the fact that it is for weight loss, not diabetes. And I'm really taking it every 14 to 28 days or so. I kind of ebb and flow. And as I mentioned, my last injection was August 13th. And it wasn't until earlier this week that I started to wake up hungry. Um,
Mhm.
the appetite suppression kind of is starting to wean off this week, I'd say.
Have you considered microdosing, or are you just spreading out the doses, or?
So I did so I'm just spreading out the doses. So with the
Mhm.
so what I liked about Ozempic And I don't know if Wegovy, like the Wegovy pens that I've received, are all single dose. So you have to kind of finish the dose. What I
Right.
liked about Ozempic was this came with a lot, like 6 prescribed doses. You could get that
Hmm.
7th golden dose. And I liked that freedom to kind of pick and choose how much you were putting in. And as you started to get, like, what I thought was um, something I noticed about, my personal journey is, at the beginning, um, I didn't sway from any of the instructions, right? Like, I only injected in my stomach and my leg because that was on the Ozempic instructions sheet. I never missed a dose day because my doctor told me never to miss. And I kept it at point, I would crank it to 0.25 exactly every single time. As the months pass, you start to kind of realize, one, there's a little extra fluid in there. And sometimes maybe you'll do 0.30 rather than
Hmm.
0.25, and we get a little bit of a boost there. So that was the only sort of uh, specific changes that I made in terms of like a micro dose or anything like that. But I have not done like 2 micro doses throughout the week that I've heard some people speaking on
Hmm.
social media that they've begun to experiment with. I've kind of keep it like, I take my one. If I'm going to take it, I take it all in one swoop.
That's good. Is that the only medication you considered? Did you consider the Zepbound or Mounjaro when you were making your choice, or it was just Ozempic, Wegovy?
I guess my doctor is a big Nova Nordis fan because that's all he kind of offered. So I haven't really um, considered tirzepatide versus semaglutide. My best friend and college roommates on Zepbound having tremendous success. And
Hmm.
one of the things that I find interesting about the way these drugs are spoken about, or sorry, the way these medications are spoken about, is I think people are too caught up in the percentage weight loss that
Hmm.
the scientific studies are showing, right? Like, I was happy on Ozempic, even if it's like
Hmm.
the weakest one of the GLP-1 medications, because I really was using it as a tool, not a total life replacement, right? I knew that Ozempic plus working out plus eating right should get me back on track. And I didn't, I'm not so caught up in the, oh, there's 18% body loss versus 21% body loss. I was in a point in my life where 18% is one hell of a successful journey. And so, no, I haven't really considered other ones. I'm happy with the results I've had, and I trust my physician that has provided these 2 options.
Have you, are you lucky enough to have your insurance cover it?
Not totally. So, even with a bicuspid aortic valve, it's not totally covered by insurance.
So you have a copay basically, or
Yeah,
okay. Because I always tell people, when they ask me what medication is right, the first thing I say, well, if insurance covers one or the other, that should
that's
be the one that you try.
right on, right on.
You know, because price does play a factor in it. For me, no insurance covers it, so I use the compound,
Hmm.
and I'll only use trusted compound pharmacies. Although you know, there still is a risk, but
And
to
you
me,
found it.
losing the weight is worth it.
Agreed. And you've had any like side effects or any issues with the compounded? I think it's really like, I've never heard of a compounded pharmacy until the last 18 months, as they
Hmm.
kind of filled the void with the GLP-1 shortages. And it's I think there's some in the medical community that say, oh, well, you don't really know what's in it. It's not officially FDA approved. On the other hand, basically everything else we put in our body isn't FDA approved, or from a actual
Absolutely.
company. So
The thing with the compounds is, no, the actual medication isn't, but the pharmacies themselves are.
gotcha.
And it was just, I think, like a week ago that one of the companies, not the compound companies, one of the pharmaceutical companies, which is owned by Novo Nordisk, wasn't actually Novo Nordisk, got 20 violations, including hair in their medication. So, I mean, there's always a possibility of some sort of risk like that.
Right.
So, yeah, like I only go to the big telehealth companies, and I research the pharmacies that they use, and they basically use the top five,
Hmm.
and they'll tell you, you know, who it's going to, and I do my research on them, and that's how I make my decision as to it. Like I won't go to some of these little spas that you don't know where they're getting medication from and so forth. But I stick with the big brand.
Right on. Yeah, and my friends that ask about it kind of say, listen, you know, you don't necessarily know, but they are publicly traded major corporations where if they
Hmm.
mess this up, that's not so good for them. And to
Hmm.
your point, you know, I don't, the risk reward outweighs maybe doing bariatric surgery or some
Right.
more extreme, if that's the right word to use, but you know, surgery to transform and help get you back on track versus one of these medications that seemingly
Yeah.
most people, or a majority of which, are having successful results.
And let's face it, there is a risk with these medications because, I mean, yes, GLP-1s have basically been around for like 20 years in its earlier form, but there
Mhm.
really are no long-term studies because it's such a new medication. So, you know, anything you have to, you know, does the risk outweigh, you know, the value?
Mhm.
And
I
that's
think
pretty
that
much
we
what
have
I go
to
by.
chat with any conspiracy theories, but like they have been around for enough time that why was it only until 2023 that the mainstream media or the public in general caught wind of the weight loss benefits? I think that's really interesting, right? Like who
It
was able to
is.
keep this quiet for this long? General Mills.
I
um,
believe like the as far as the Ozempic, I believe they came around in something like 2017 or so. So they
right.
weren't around a long time. And of course, with the price, it was the big TV stars and movie stars that were using it and so forth. And it probably wasn't until like the compound that actually made it somewhat affordable that news got around. And then the big pharma had to find some way to bring down their prices with Nova Nordic, NovaCare, and Lilly Direct, and so forth for people, the average person, to even consider being able to afford it.
Mhm. Interestingly, I gotta stop using the word interesting. I have a friend
It
of
is
mine.
interesting though.
Yeah, no, well, I have a friend of mine who in 2019, you know, we were catching up, and he said, "Oh, I started taking this diabetes medicine for the weight loss benefits," and he was always like the experimental one in college. Let's just say it like that. And I was like, okay, like he found another hack, and I never thought about it, right? Like I just never, it never kind of crossed my mind for me to like even ask him, like, how'd you figure this out? Why are you using a diabetes drug to start to lose weight? Who told you about this? And so, you know, and just thinking back, it took for how he found it, I don't know. And or he's not a scientist or a healthcare professional. And it really was 4 more years until it started kind of popping up in
Hmm.
you know, the press, and you started to hear about it out in public discourse.
Yeah, I've actually interviewed people from like 2016 or 17 that were using the old stuff. Right now, off the top of my head, I don't remember the name. And then they
Trulicity.
also had pills at Trulicity, and they also had pills, and they were on that. And obviously, then the Ozempic came out, um, and they were switched to that. And pretty much they've used all of them, and they've said that, you know, all of them had their good points and their bad points. uh, some people say they lost more on Ozempic, less side effects on the Monjaro, as far as the pill. And again, I apologize for not remembering the name. If you do
Uh,
have side effects,
Ribalist, I think, is one of them. That's a pill form.
mhm, yeah, and if you do have side effects, like you could stop taking it the next day and the side effects go away. So, you know, there was a little bit better control over that part of it.
Mhm.
And like you said, the percentage weight that you're losing may not be the same, but you're still losing weight.
Right. It's still giving you that push. You know, like I'm thinking of those old, like when the kid and the father built like the little racer car and he gets the push down the hill.
Mhm.
It gives you that push. And then it's you're,
Yeah.
you know, steering it down. But I was personally stuck in a rut. I grew up playing like organized sports, daily. I was very active. I was the pre-internet, the last of the pre-internet generation where we were just dropped off at tennis courts or outside and playing with friends. And that was your day. Like summer was running around, playing till the sun came down and mom or dad came and picked you up. And even I played, I was a recruited athlete in college. And once I entered the workforce, I lost all of that. I lost all of that discipline and the routine. And then I just started to snowball, no pun intended, but like turned into Frosty. And like even having, and I bring all that past up because even with that history and training and I knew how to stretch and run and go to the gym and what workouts to do to put together a workout. None of it mattered. I was not going into that gym anymore. I stopped accepting, invites to go play and hit tennis balls. And I was just stuck. I was stuck. I'm calling it fat sand. And, I was too heavy to go out and enjoy my life. And what would I do in return? I would just continue to eat. And then it was like an initial dopamine hit. And then a bout of depression would set in. And even the Ozempic, I think part of the price, like the price sucks, but at least personally for me, it was like an extra motivator, a money motivator, if you
Mm-hmm.
will. Whereas like, what?
Absolutely.
My doctor told me I had to be on this. Ugh. It costs, it's not free. And this was my one moment in time to right my ship and course correct the path I'd gone down.
Speaking of athletes, I was interviewing Charles from Round Mound to Zep Mound, and he could see a big population of athletes once they stop being on this drug because they're used to eating like when they played football, basketball, whatever. Then all of a sudden you stop, but you're still eating the same.
Mhm.
So it's, and plus they're like finding more and more uses for it.
Mhm.
You know, cardiac, as you know,
Yep.
sleep apnea, liver disease, ovarian cysts, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, addiction.
Mhm.
Um, were there any surprise results that you found when you started your journey on the medication?
Um, so I definitely have less of a craving to drink.
Mm-hmm.
I live in California, so I was a medical cannabis user. Really don't smoke anymore. No desire. And with drinking, uh, like I found myself like I don't finish a drink necessarily. Not that I was like
Mm-hmm.
always drinking and like I'm able
Mm-hmm.
to stand up and walk away from a drink, but my point is like one drink would last me an entire meal where I'd usually have like, two. And so I guess the big surprise is how in touch I've become with my body again,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you become sensitive to certain foods right off the bat, right? So like my
Mm-hmm.
big moment was I love In and Out and would get like a double double and have a nice little night and animal style fries. And at the beginning of my Ozempic uh, you know journey, I didn't think this thing was going to work. So and I'll come back to regrets in a second, but the way the drugs do work is they slow down digestion and simultaneously release this hormone out of your stomach, the GLP-1 hormone, signaling you're full. And it says on like I haven't seen an Ozempic instruction sheet in, a few months now, but I remember it saying like eat healthy, basically. Like the way it talks
Mm-hmm.
about what to eat, it says, you're not like don't eat hamburgers and cheeseburgers. It's kind of what it says in a scientific way. And I was like, that's a kind of a weird. I thought this was a placebo. Is kind of what I'm getting at. It's basically like take this shot, eat healthy, work out, and you'll see some results. And I was like, okay, like anyone could have told me that one. But the big light bulb moment was I went and got my normal In and Out order, and then I'll never forget the feeling laying down in my bed and you just felt it. I equate it to those videos or pictures of a snake swallowing some huge thing and you see it going down its throat or down whatever. I don't know. I don't know the biology of a snake, but you know what I mean? Like you see it going through its body. And that's what I felt like one night laying down. and I love to eat late at night. I've done better now. That's my kryptonite. And I can still, like, explaining it to you, I remember the feeling of it, where the burger just kind of sat right here. My stomach just killed. I like had to put my feet up just to like brace myself laying in bed. And that's where I'm like, oh wow, I guess I can't eat like this anymore. And then what I found like very successful about these medications is that it like coaches you to eat healthy, because then you experiment. You
Hmm.
have a hard-boiled egg, there's no pain. You have some Greek yogurt, there's no pain. And so you naturally sway to healthy foods and start exhibiting healthy habits. And I think that's kind of the surprise, I guess, if you will, coming back to your
Hmm.
question, where it is like a silent coach motivating you to do the right thing and to make the right decisions. And when I came off the drug after 9 months of, consistent usage, you don't just sway back, right? You don't forget what you've just accomplished,
Hmm.
whatever time frame you were on it. And so I think that's like one of my big preachings, if you will, of I would only really take these if you're ready to make a lifestyle change, right?
Hmm.
I know a lot of the negativity that people talk about is like the Ozempic face and celebrities using it and people using it to lose X amount of pounds for a wedding or some life event, and that's wrong, and you should just have some discipline. One, not everyone has the discipline. I'm an example of it. I totally lost my discipline and gained. I was up to the highest I know I was 215 pounds, but I don't know how heavy I actually got because I never had a scale. I was ashamed of it. I was ashamed of myself. I did not own a scale. I did not want to know. So, um, but when you're ready to make the lifestyle change, plus adding one of these medications, I found it, and well, from my personal experience, incredibly life changing and habit changing. That's the life changing part of it, is that it switches your habits.
Absolutely, because if people were the type of thing, that you say, okay, I'm on a diet, I have a craving. Ooh, I have a craving for a big bowl of raw vegetables. That ain't ever gonna happen.
Right, right. Where
Let's
now I
let's be real.
it's now I have like in my so one I got rid of Uber Eats. I love Uber Eats, but got rid of that off my phone and go to I'm more of a Trader Joe's Costco shopper, but
Mm-hmm.
that's is fit like it's fruit. I actually love there's a sriracha flavored tofu from Trader Joe's that I throw into the air fryer that is protein and like I enjoy the texture of eating it. It's like a fun
Mm-hmm.
eat, and you just start to replace the crap with healthy options that you have a couple bites, or you have like whatever the medical recommendation is for caloric intake, and you're sustained. I think another like interesting observation or side effect, going back to your question, is it turned my body into a machine where
Mm-hmm.
like you talk like my body's a temple. I think everyone on a GLP-1, their body does become a temple because you're aiming for a certain amount of calories, and guess what, you are fulfilled. It's not a challenge to walk away from half of a meal or bring half back home the way it would be, as you mentioned, without one of these kind of coursing through your bloodstream and your veins. It makes it pretty easy. My big I'll share it because it's delicious and I had it last night. I have like I go to Trader Joe, and you can get it anywhere, obviously. I get or frozen berries, and then I take 1 teaspoon, like a spoonful of Nutella or the Trader Joe's option, and I just that's my sweet treat, right? And that has to be a lot healthier for me than the pint of
Mm-hmm.
Ben and Jerry's I used to put down in 10 minutes.
A pint isn't a serving.
I think I was actually a Halo Top. Not that we have a sponsorship from Halo Top, but I think they did a funny thing where they're like they know everyone's eating a pint, so they just
Mm-hmm.
tell you exactly what it is, and that's their like
Yeah,
the benefit of their brand.
absolutely. So I have to say, being a male, you probably have it a little bit easier because they say men lose weight quicker, they lose it faster, they burn more calories. So you do have an advantage. Have you noticed any of that or?
So, yeah, so like I notice I'll wake up and I'll be at a certain weight, and then I go take a walk, I ride the Peloton, I have my breakfast, take a shower, reweigh myself, and I'm down 4 or 5 pounds right away, just like
Mhm,
throughout the beginning of the morning. When I started on Ozempic, I didn't lose it. I gained weight in the first month. So appetite suppression really didn't occur for me until like the third or fourth injection. I was ashamed that I was on it. I thought it was going to be a miracle medication that turned me into Superman. I just injected it and lost the weight. Like there were none of these conversations out there to kind of
mhm,
listen to how are people using this thing. And I just injected it a couple times and just kept looking at the scale and wondering why nothing was changing for me. And then the moment I started, so I put a Peloton in my room
mhm,
and eliminated any excuse of I can't make it to the gym today for X, Y, or Z reason. And I started slow. So I would hop on the Peloton or whatever workout you want to do. And I just knew that I was on a long road. I didn't know how long it would be, but
mhm,
I knew I wasn't like I don't. What I joke about is I don't wake up at 6 a.m. and join a CrossFit class. I'm not training for a marathon. I started with 15 minutes. After a week or two, 15 minutes, my brain was like, "You can do 20." And now I don't really get off the bike until I'm like 40 minutes in. Usually, like I'll do a 30-minute workout if time I have a time constraint, but like I'll get up to 40, 45 minutes, no problem. But it was like this baseline of training my mind and body to say you can do this. And I mentioned that I grew up playing sports. I like the act of playing sports. I've always hated working out. I hate running. I really hate going to the gym. I don't like I'm not someone that likes it. I don't know why, but it's not like something that brings me great joy, like sitting in there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is. But so I knew I needed to find something, some tool that allowed me to move my body, get a sweat in, and stay consistent. And so the one interesting, there's the word again, but I did cardio. Like I'm not big into strength training. Part of my heart condition is I'm not supposed to really hold my breath and strain. So like bench press, no. Olympic style lifting, no. I should really be focused if I am in the gym on body weight workouts. And so that's why like in the back of my head, like I kind of veer away from strength
mhm,
training just as a result of my pre-existing condition. So I'm strictly cardio and lost 50 pounds. And when I tell people I'm on a GLP-1 living in LA, the first thing they say is, "You don't look like it." And I say, "Why? Because you think I should look like this?" And they're like, "Yes."
mhm,
Right. And so I really haven't lost muscle the way it's been reported. I haven't, my face looks pretty natural coming from my mouth, but, it like, doesn't look severe or what, the pictures of Ozempic face look like. And I kind of credit it with just consistently doing some sort of movement of your body. Like I spoke to someone that they had an amazing line. They said farmer training, and she gardens, and it gets her outside. It gets her moving up and down. She's
mhm.
lifting things, and she's actually growing healthy food to then feed her. And it's like this incredible
Right.
virtue cycle that she's in, and it's working for her. And so I think part of it is the vast majority of people that are turning to these medications have decades of unhealthy habits. And so do the 7,000 steps, go experiment in your garden with some farmer training, ride a bike at a casual pace. But I think it's,
Mhm,
you don't really, the beauty of these meds is that they help excel, they're the catalyst. And
absolutely.
you don't need to do an Ironman to lose the weight. Not one person on these medications that's having like look at us smiling about it.
Mhm.
Lori, I don't know, but I don't think you're going on mile-long swims every day. Maybe you are. God,
No,
that's the truth, if that's the case. But
I do go to the gym though, but
yeah, yeah, but it's like well, you know what I'm getting at. What's your
yeah.
fitness routine?
I usually do like 15, 20 minutes of cardio, but I do it in a sauna. We have this place Hot Works here. So, and then right next door is my gym, and then I do like a half an hour of strength training, and I do that like 3 times a week.
Okay, fantastic.
So nothing killer.
And then do you use like an Apple Watch or anything to track your workouts?
I have a Aura ring and a Galaxy watch, which
Okay, great.
also does.
And how do you like the Aura Ring? I was looking into one of those.
I like it because it's to me it's convenient. The charge lasts about 5 days, um, and like right now I'm doing an experiment between this, the Galaxy Watch, and a Fitbit, so I could see the
Oh,
difference. I could do a video on it and what the
oh,
differences are.
it's like Tony Stark over
And
there.
the things
Um,
I'll do for my channel.
there we go. I like it. The Apple Watch. I just happened to have
Mhm,
one. I got it as a gift from a company. Never wore it. And then I started to pair it with the Peloton. And then the little silly ring, like I used to take it off when it told me to stand up. I
mhm.
thought it was so obnoxious. I hated it. It was such an encroachment on my day-to-day life. As I mentioned, like for like consistency, and starting to close those rings, or I usually get like halfway to completion of like my goal, but to see the calendar fill up and then to
Mhm.
scroll prior to October 2023 and see how hit or miss I really was keeps me motivated and inspired.
Do I think any of these are 100% accurate? No, but if my ring or my watch or the Fitbit is telling me, hey, you did more today than you did yesterday, I believe I did more. How much
Yes,
more? So I mean, I just use it as a guide,
right.
as a tool, like you said, to see the numbers and the amount of times that I have worked out. Um, Same type of thing with, the TDE calculator. I don't think that they're very accurate. It's just a guide.
Hmm.
Usually, I don't put any of my workouts in there because I'd probably be able to eat a lot more. Well, not because of the medication, but just because it tells me that I could. Then actually, I probably would gain weight with what it tells me I could have
Right.
calorie wise.
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
And
like I said, it's just a guide.
what's your favorite GLP-1 meal or something that you're eating or preparing or keeping in the house that you never did before?
I'm and always have been, but more so on the GLP-1, fresh fish and a vegetable for dinner. I like
Mm,
it because I work kind of late. I work in healthcare. I'm not a provider or anything, but I work like 14-hour days. And the last thing I want to do, I start at 5 in the morning. It's late. Just want to spend time cooking fish. I could usually have it cooked in 10 minutes.
mhm,
And for convenience, I do use fresh vegetables, but I buy them in the bag so that you can just pop them in the microwave for 2 minutes, and then just some cut up fruit for dessert. And those are my favorite go-to dinners.
right. And are you big on the air fryer, or how do you prepare the fish?
That's I usually cook it in the air fryer.
Yeah, so the air fryer was a new addition in October 2023 to my household. That is total game changer. Total game changer.
Hmm.
And I was the same way as you. I'd have like a long commute living in LA, like an hour long, could leave the office at 7, not home until 8ish. Last thing I want to do, and I'm not a culinary expert by any means. No one should listen to my recipes, but the air fryer made everything kind of real. Like I was addicted to Uber Eats. I started in New York with Seamless, the predecessor. I think they're still around, but they really messed up and got crushed by Uber Eats and Postmates. But the air fryer, I started to think. I did the calculation. I was like, okay, I can just air fry something and have like a healthy, fresh, cheap meal in 10 to 15
Hmm.
minutes, or wait 45 to an hour for something that's filled with calories. Who knows what ingredients are in it? And it's $24 with the delivery fee. It just became like I just felt crazy to continue down that path when, kind of being more considerate of my weight loss journey and like these new tools, if you will. Like the air fryer is kind of
Hmm.
a relatively new kitchen product, and you can do anything in it.
It's really fun because, like, I am not a fast food person. I never really have been. To me, especially with the prices, I mean, I think a meal at McDonald's, at least in South Florida, is around $15,
Yeah, it's in
where
the
I
news
can just
this
go
way,
right
right?
next door and literally get a grilled hamburger with fries for the same price. And, if I call from home, it doesn't take any extra time. At least I
Mhm.
know what I'm eating. And actually, I've had some of those fries. I actually prefer them in the air fryer because I'm more used to it
I
than deep
actually,
fried.
yeah, so I actually bought off Amazon this like cutter, and then I go to
Mhm,
Trader Joe's and I get the, was it rosette potato?
mhm,
I slice it into like French fries, put a
mhm,
little avocado oil, throw it in the air fryer, and there's like a fry. I had a fry seasoning, and you make like kind of the healthy alternative.
mhm,
I'm also on the fish wagon as well, but I just do fresh salmon fillet, and then I just put some hoisin sauce on it, throw it in
mhm.
the air fryer for 10 to 12 minutes, and voila, look at that.
Yeah, I know. It's quicker. I mean, like, literally, if I was gonna drive to the fast food place, which isn't far,
Mhm,
order it, bring it home, it's less time if I just cook it myself.
mhm. But I will admit I still do like a monthly in and out just to treat myself.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't have everything off limits. I mean, to me,
Yeah,
I have no food off limits. I just, instead of having pizza once a week like I used to, if I have it once every 6 weeks, that's a lot. Yeah.
yeah, and it's fine, and you're not craving it, you're not thinking
Mm-mm.
about it, and, like, I went out to lunch with friends yesterday, I got, like, a grilled salmon bowl, it was delicious. I thought
Mm-hmm.
about the buffalo wings, I was like, "Does anyone wanna split buffalo wings?" No one said yes, and I said, "Okay, me like, whatever," but we were at a sports bar, and it was the beginning of college football season, so I was like, "Come on, it's a tradition, we should have some buffalo wings."
Who's your favorite team?
I'm from, I'd say college football, Penn
College.
State.
Uh, I'm a Michigan fan.
Oh, there we go, there we go. I grew up in the Philadelphia area, so, we are
Yeah,
Penn.
I grew up in Chicago, so
There we go. I actually went to Chicago for the first time this summer, it was fantastic. I hit it at the right weekend, it was beautiful day, it was 80 degrees every day, the whole city seemed to be outside, and it was beautiful.
so have you had any side effects from the medication?
Constipation.
And how did you deal with it?
Here it is, my magic elixir. So definitely constipation, but then once I'd had a cup of coffee in the morning, then I returned to normal. With Wegovy, when I made the switch, what I noted would go like less constipation. So they do like there is a little, and I don't know if it's psychological or I think it is scientific, but there are different side effects, or the medicines interact with your body differently. And what the more and more time I spend in the space, and I'm reading and observing what other people are discussing and talking about, it's wild how it's not one size fits all. Like
No.
everybody's body is reacting totally uniquely to this stuff. And I think I've started to see people talk about super responder versus slow responder or whatever the monikers are. I've never
Mhm.
gone up past the starter dose on Ozempic or Wegovy. I haven't wanted to. Um, for me, it wasn't like I started, I guess, when I was 32. So I was, I didn't want it to be a total lifestyle replacement. I thought it would be like a way back into the healthy habits I once had in high school and college. But the starter dose has always given me some semblance of appetite suppression. So I mentioned, I guess this morning, just for a real life example, I mentioned I started to feel hungry in the mornings this week. So this morning I woke up, I felt hungry. I then got out of bed. I had a coffee. I emailed you. I hopped on the Peloton for 30 minutes, did around 100 push-ups, took a shower. I'm saying all these things that my brain, like I didn't eat anything until, then I had like a protein bar for like a quick little light lunch, and I'll have something substantive when we finish up. But um, I guess my point being, where I would used to, prior to this lifestyle change, I'd wake up, my stomach would be hungry, and I'd say, I need a breakfast burrito, right? I can't possibly go on with my day without, feeding myself right now. And I guess we're coming back to some other questions you brought up earlier, but another crazy side effect is the way the stomach growl has totally changed its meaning for me. A stomach
Hmm.
growl used to mean stop what you're doing, pull over to McDonald's, feed yourself. It's totally changed. And I think one of the things, like I don't necessarily succumb to it as soon as I feel a growl, right? I'm aware of it. Um, but I think like that's one interesting change for me. And something that people should know before they start these meds is eating still feels good. Like it's still the same dopamine effect, the same
Hmm.
gratification. It's just a lot less. And I was the biggest fear I had starting was the idea of losing my love of food. And like I think, and like, it's weird because that's like the desired outcome, to eat
Hmm.
less. And I was terrified of that, living in a food city and going out with friends and colleagues, and everything's around eating, and I didn't want to look like a total weirdo, not eating and restricting myself. I guess weirdo is the wrong word for that, but you know what I'm saying. Like it'd be obvious that I was on one of these meds based on my prior eating ability. But eating still feels good. The things that I used to love, I still enjoy, and I'll treat myself to them from time to time. But I'm not beholden to food the way I used to be. Like I would map out the day based on where's breakfast, lunch, and dinner coming from, and what's the sweet treat at the end of the night before I get into bed or while I'm laying in bed. And that has just the script's been totally flipped.
So you did a short the other day, and I know you know which one I'm talking about. Do you want to talk about it or no?
Yeah, all right. So, another unforeseen side effect, and actually it was a little foreseen, and my body sexually is heightened again. I'm noticing like and to those that haven't seen the short, thank you for the shout out, Lori. But basically, what I've noticed is so I take it on Sunday. I like Sundays because it's usually football season and I'm hanging out anyways. And I'll take it around 1 p.m. I wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. on Monday morning with an erection. And like a power, like one that wakes me up, I guess is the point of, of bringing it up. And that is a noticeable improvement and change from where I was prior. And when my doctor first put me on Ozempic, one, I got to give him all the credit in the world for one, just letting me know that I'm like approaching a red line and like I needed to make a change. And he could see how fearful I was and I guess ashamed. And he actually, one, revealed that he was on it, and two, called
Hmm.
his wife. And they spoke to me like I was a nephew or a son and made it very familial. And that was kind of what like gave me the balls, no pun intended with this part of the conversation, but to go out and try this thing. They made it, it wasn't clinical. It was, hey, this is working for me. Here's, my wife to kind of tell you a little bit about her experience with a husband on it. And so when I agreed, and it was a free sample, the first one, so we all love free samples, so I had to say yes. But he actually said, he said, congratulations, you're about to lose a lot of weight, and your testosterone's going to go up off the charts. So it's an unforeseen side effect, in that I wasn't expecting just erections in the morning. Like he didn't say every 12 hours after
The
taking it.
random Woody.
Yeah, but like once I started to be like, why do I keep waking up like this? And then his voice popped into my head, the testosterone. So I think to your point earlier about all the different, medical issues that these drugs are starting to be proven to alleviate or help or treat. I think like the sad thing is how heavy we are as a country is creating all of these issues throughout our bodies, whether it's sleep
Hmm.
apnea, low testosterone, whatever it may be. Like, and I'm learning a lot, right? Like PCOS. Never heard of PCOS before. That's never hit my algorithm, and never learned about it in health class. I've never had a female friend or girlfriend or mother and family member ever mention those four, you know, letters in succession like that. And now you're just seeing everyone starting to like, I'm having children again. All like you
Mhm.
know, it's a pretty, it's like I think it's a revolutionary breakthrough the way we're just losing our, you know, obedience to food,
Well, I
unhealthy
think
food.
inflammation has a lot to do with it. I mean, inflammation has a lot to do with a lot of diseases, and these
Mhm,
GLP-1s get rid of inflammation. So I think that plays a big role in a lot of this.
mhm, and
Even some of the obesity-related cancers are going down, and so forth.
mhm.
So, like, do you go to the grocery store at all?
Yes. So
Just Trader Joe's or
Trader Joe's and Costco. Those are
okay.
my two go-tos, and then
Ha
we have
ha
a chain
have
out here
you
called Ralph's.
have you noticed going to the store that all of a sudden all these foods are now GLP-1 friendly stamped on it and stuff, and they're like the
Some of them.
same foods?
So I noticed it, I took a screenshot because there's a new macaroni and cheese or something that they came out with. I like macaroni and cheese, but it
Who
says,
doesn't?
like yeah, but it said something about, like, the protein level on this
Mhm,
new I forget what I'll find it and send it to you after, but and I noticed the label had, like, a protein stamp, and then I went to, like, the existing like, their old version, and it had nothing on
mhm,
it. So, yes, I'm starting to notice, that they're being marketed a bit differently. You know, I know Nestle came out of the gate firing right away with something with a V, I think, they had, like it came out with a line of, like, lean cuisines that are, like,
mhm.
GLP-1 friendly or protein focused. Um, so yes, I've noticed it. I'm still getting my sea legs under me at the grocery store. I've realized about myself I have a little bit of an anxiety there. Because it's not my bag, baby, as Austin Powers would say. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm trying to expand the menu. Oftentimes I just kind of lean on the things that um, you know, I know how to make and I know I enjoy. But just touching on like diet and food. So when I was like in the height of my um, journey, I definitely like breakfast was very light, lunch was very light or non-existent, and then dinner I never shied away from. So dinner was always the normal, like a normal meal. And I know some people I know have been able to like kind of go a whole day without eating. Not that that's a good thing or anything. I
Mhm,
never allowed myself to do that. And I always ate normally for dinner. Like dinner is my holy meal. That's my favorite meal where I'm sitting down, I'm relaxing, the day is over, and I'm enjoying something usually in front of the TV, but I think that's part of my, you know, issue was that I would watch like pre Ozempic. I'd like put on like a 2 hour movie, or I love to binge watch a TV show like we all do, and I would like eat through the whole thing. Right. I think actually identifying like I'm going to eat for 30 minutes and then I'm done eating is a much healthier, sustainable way of going about things. And you know, kind of subconsciously, unconsciously, I would kind of graze for hours as I was like binge watching the next big Netflix show. Um,
mhm.
so that's something that I've definitely put a hard stop on.
Now, you mentioned earlier about regrets and that you talk about them later. What were you referring to?
So my big regret was not thinking it would work. And so I didn't take any progress photos. I was ashamed of what my body looked like. I have a friend that's a fantastic personal trainer out here that motivated me to do it, told me exactly how to do it, told me what to wear when doing it. And I said thanks, and I just never did it. My doctor gave me a blood work slip on day one. He said, here's your first prescription to go get filled at CVS, and here's lab work to go get your blood done. I didn't want to know if I was pre-diabetic or not. I didn't go. I then also took as I mentioned, the first month I didn't jump in the deep end. I
Mhm,
kind of like was wait and see how this thing works. So I kind of had like a 1 month hiccup, and I don't really know the baselines of which I'm now healthy. So I've recently got blood work. Everything's in the green. Everything's great. No pre-diabetes. but I really don't know how much improvement I've made / how bad things actually were. And it would have been nice. And for anyone listening, you feel like Lori and I assume, Lori, you kind
Mhm.
of ran the same with me. I feel so great about myself and what I've been able
Absolutely.
to accomplish that not that I need to broadcast to the world what the before and afters in my Calvin Kleins look like, but it actually would have been nice, right? To continue to give myself that pat on the back that we all deserve. And I really don't know. Like, I guess another regret, just even without Ozempic, is looking back at the photos over the last 10 years. There's a big moment where you see I stop being in front of the camera and I like shield myself from solo pictures from 2016 till 2023. It's group photos or I'm the cameraman. Without a doubt, I saw it, the pattern develop. You can see it as you scroll through my photo app on my MacBook, and that was like an unconscious regret, right? Like, and not that like I love my friends. I've made incredible memories and relationships. I've seen amazing places throughout the world. There's not really many photos or videos of me to really prove it.
Mhm.
And that wasn't anything to do about, who I was surrounding myself with or like, my community, my network, the travel that I've done. It was me being subconscious about how people perceive the way I look.
How long did it take people to start noticing that you were losing weight?
That's a good question. So it was hit or miss. And so I told one colleague because I had no idea what was going to happen. So I told
Mhm.
one colleague that wasn't even he was in a satellite office. So I just said, hey, listen, if anyone starts to mention it or shit talk, send me a message. And so that was the only person I told that I saw on a day-to-day basis. Then I started to lose significant weight.
Mhm.
So I have in my closet extra large, large, and today we're in a medium, Lori. So for me, that was the like proof, right? And I also went from size 36 waist to like now I'm a 30-31 again. And that was a long-winded intro to say some people told me right away, wow, you're looking great, you're losing weight. And then other people wouldn't say anything. And these people that I'm referencing are all people I see regularly. And my point in bringing it up and something I've learned about a weight loss journey, health in general,
Mhm.
interacting with other people is I would leave those like, so if you were to congratulate me and say, you're looking great, Zach, good for you. I'd put in my head, Lori's actually a good person. And then I'd meet someone else that I'm friends with and they wouldn't say anything. And I'd be like, they're actually subconsciously a bitch. Right. Cause like I was losing so much weight.
Mhm.
It was obvious. And as I've started to share this anecdote with people, they've shared back to me that not everyone, a lot of people are taught not to comment on people's dramatic weight loss,
Mhm.
other health reasons. And that is something, and I think I kind of referenced it a little bit ago. It's like, not only have I become healthy again, feel great about what I've accomplished, consistently exhibiting healthy habits, I've become a lot more attuned to other people's health journeys, not just weight loss and just accomplishments across the board and micro accomplishments, if you will, right? And just like even when I'm driving on the street and see someone working out, it's kind of not, it's more of a good for them versus like, what are they doing running out in public? Because I never used to have the balls to do it. So you learn, like I've learned more, I've learned more than I ever thought I would. And still on it a bit, still on this journey for a little bit longer. I have like 8 more of these left. And I think then I'm going to be done and we'll see what happens. But that's kind of where I'm at mentally, where it's like I'm weaning myself down. We'll see if I can keep this going, without the meds and however many weeks I kind of drag these out. But I also don't have any judgment if you want to stay on it forever because it works.
Mhm.
It totally works. And everyone's in a different part of their life. Everyone has different past or family medical histories to consider. And what works for me isn't the necessary path for everyone else. But I think like, It's amazing to be able to speak with you and just understand there's a bunch of people out here going through similar thought processes, not identical, and there's people to talk to about it and start to learn from. And
Absolutely.
the beauty is, if you get off of it and start to regain, you can hop back on. If you get off of it and never
Absolutely.
gain another pound again, holy shit, this changed my
That's
life.
great. Hmm. Now, any of the people that told you you lost weight, did any of them say, "Hey, did you take something?" Or
I had two people. Yeah, so there was one night that two people didn't recognize me, reintroduced themselves to me. I also had that happen to me when I started to gain weight. When I would go home to visit my family and friends, okay, so so all right, we'll get into it, Lori, with these hard-hitting questions. So when
there
I
you go.
started, I was always like 160 pounds, and I grew up playing lacrosse, so a lot of my friends were way bigger than me, and more athletic, but not as smart on the field. I knew the rules better than anybody. But I was like the small guy, right? My three best friends were all over 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, played Division I lacrosse or football. I played Division III lacrosse. So always the small guy. After college, I started to come home for the summers and to visit for holidays. And I would like you could see people didn't really recognize me. Like, the night before Thanksgiving when everyone goes out drinking in your local bar, like people had trouble processing this was Zach. And so that really fucking hurt. Right. And that's where I was like, oh
Hmm.
God, oh God. And then, so now the flip's happening, right? Where there's two times in one night, two people did not recognize me. And like I'd worked next to them at an office and had to read, like, it's Zach. And so and it didn't feel great, to be honest. Like, it wasn't like I was like, ugh, that kind of sucked actually. And then and I'll answer the second part of the question about people asking about it. Over this summer, another kind of uh, you know, recognition occurred where I went home to visit one of my best friends from middle school till today. Unfortunately, I had not seen his mother in about a decade. So she never even, and we weren't friends on social media. And so she came, I like went to go say hi to her, and she kissed me hello and hugged me as if nothing's ever changed, and nothing had changed. But my friend, who was totally aware of my weight loss journey and the fact that I was going to start posting to social media about it, we looked at each other and kind of laughed that she never even saw, like, I was back to normal. Right. It was like, that was a great accomplishment. She didn't,
Hmm.
does that make sense? Like, she just said,
Right.
hello, hi, good to see you. You look exactly the same. It's like, well, there was a 10-year window where I was not looking the same. And then to your question, when people ask, um, so I'm very proud of it and not ashamed of it. And when I meet people, like, I kind of advertise it, not for one of the brands,
Hmm.
but I said, I'm on one of these
Right.
things and it changed my life. And I'm kind of sick of the negativity out there. Not that it's not unwarranted, but it's like
Hmm.
90% super negative stories. And then 10% of like, this guy had a good job, a good time on it. So I do think the one thing that kind of still perplexes my mind is someone congratulates me on the weight loss or says I'm looking great. I say thank you. And then my brain does signal, like, I hope they don't ask how I did it. Right. If they ask, I don't hold back, but I'm still a little bit of a little bit of a false start where not dying to tell you, not ashamed of it for a second.
Good. Good theory. Because I think everybody's medications or how they do it is basically their own business. If they want to tell, fine. If they don't, lots of power to them. Um, what are your feelings about people that are taking the medication just to lose that 10 pounds that they may put on the winter or whatever, as opposed to people that are on a journey?
Truthfully, I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me
Yeah,
at
neither
all.
do I.
I think every woman post childbirth should be offered the option,
Hmm.
right? I think children, this might in schools should be offered the option. I think, God willing, there's no long-term side effect that starts to really materialize, and you and I are at the same care facility,
Hmm.
sitting next to each other saying, shit. But I remember taking fluoride every night to strengthen my teeth.
Uh-huh.
I think there's a food problem in this country. There's something in the food that is keeping us addicted to it, keeping us thinking about it, like this food noise thing, which is totally true.
Hmm.
Something I never had a
Hmm.
conception of. I thought everyone was thinking about their next meal all day. Some people don't need this. Some people have the discipline or the natural biology where they're not afflicted. 80% of America is obese or overweight. So that's only 20% of the
Hmm.
country that has that ability. And listen, I needed it. I assume you needed it
Hmm.
to lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds. You know what? Maybe someone needs it. Maybe it is their wedding. Maybe it's their kid's wedding. And they want that confidence or whatever it may be. And I don't really have an issue with it.
Yeah, I used to be against it because you know, it's an expensive drug. Again, uh, no super long-term effects known. And my opinion has changed because, like, my brother uses it, and he's, occasionally just, he's never been overweight really, but just wants to lose that 10 pounds. But with all this new stuff coming out, like it helps prevent heart disease. He's not drinking as much on it as he used to. It helps with liver disease. You have a 15% less chance of getting, Alzheimer's with this medication. Why not? You know,
Right. And
why
listen,
should he be deprived?
exactly. And you bringing up your brother reminded me, like, listen, I just went on my whole rant. My younger brother, he's only 2 years younger, just lost 25 pounds in 2 months, the historical normal way. He has a different mechanism inside his brain where he's able to be disciplined with food. He likes going to the gym and doing strength training. And I just watched it happen. He just went from like 190 to like 165, 170 in like 2 months. And
Hmm.
so even two, people think we're twins, but like we're as close, we're as close as two people can be. We have a totally different relationship with food. Also, I was always the thin, skinny one growing up. He was chubby. My uncles affectionately called him Pig Boy. And he always had like a round face. And there was like we flipped, right? So I don't. My point in bringing up that anecdote is when I had to get out there that he was Pig Boy. Just kidding, but there's a lot of I don't understand it. I'm not a food scientist, a biologist, a medical professional, but just seeing the way both my brother and I have a totally different relationship with food and the way we've kind of flip flopped and ebbed and flowed through the last 31 years. To each their own, I guess, is my big takeaway. Where there's so many other like Botox. Botox. I'll say it again. 20 something years ago, that was extreme plastic surgery. Now
Hmm.
someone will say, "Hey, I'm running late to the interview, Lori. I'm doing Botox," and you'd say, "Okay, I'll be right here waiting."
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like so, and not just to pick on that one, there are so many different things that people are putting into their body, experimenting with, trying, that doesn't have any sort of stigma against it. And like I'm thinking about Botox in your forehead. I know people that put it in their palms or their armpits to stop sweating. You've never once said to them like, "Nah, get a towel and wipe off your hand." Like, right? So I
Hmm.
like I get fingers crossed that you and I aren't in a bad situation in however many years with long-term side effects. For right now, I think it totally changed my health for the better. And there's just so much other, not shit, but there's so many other products, medicines, supplements, whatever it may be, surgeries that people are doing that you wouldn't think twice about. And I guess we got stuck on this one for a little bit, but I think, listen, it's all about being healthy and happy. And whether it's 5 pounds or 500, everyone should have the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Like I watched that Biggest Loser documentary on
Mm-hmm.
Netflix. And did you check that
Mm-hmm.
one out?
I did.
Okay, I was like 12, 13, 14 years old when that was on prime time United States television.
Mm-hmm.
Prime time. ABC or whatever channel it was on. That was a
NBC.
free that was free to watch for the entire country, right? Like every television has NBC. No one ever talked about how fucked up that thing was. Now watching it
Really.
years ago, like they were killing people on TV,
Mm-hmm.
yelling at them how disgusting they were, how bad of humans they were, like just destroying their egos for the
Mm-hmm.
whole country to see. And now you're going to tell me that they all could have not gone on that show, taken a shot, lost some weight, and never had to be put through something like that. So my point of bringing it up is look how culture changes, and like our ideas about what's right and what's wrong changes. And it's interesting to hear that your thought on what was right or wrong with this changed in however many months that took you. And it was, I guess,
Right.
seeing your brother actually benefit from so many other things than just the
Mm-hmm.
weight.
Yeah, and I keep bringing up because one of the biggest things that sticks into my mind is I used to think that overeating caused obesity, and I heard an obesity doctor say no, obesity causes overeating.
I agree with
It's
that.
like I never looked at it that way.
I agree with that. I think it's definitely a disease. Just kind of talking about our relationships with our siblings and how we kind of like
Hmm.
it's not everyone's the same. I do think there's something about being ready to make the lifestyle change that warrants this to really work,
Hmm.
right? So like I know a bunch of people that have tried it and are not as successful, if that's the right word to use, or not seeing the same amount of weight loss come off, but they're actually like really not buying into moving their body every day, changing the way they eat, thinking about just their life in general in a healthy mindset. So was as I mentioned at the beginning, for me, it was not a miracle medication. It didn't make me just shed the weight and become a new person. I had to put in a lot of work. I had to think about it a lot. I had to do a ton of research into what is something healthy to eat. And like what I really hated at the beginning of this was eat clean. What the fuck's that mean? Like, what the fuck does
Hmm.
eating clean mean? When I've been like obsessed with McDonald's for 30 years, right? Like eating clean doesn't mean shit to me. So sorry
Hmm.
for the language, but like I
I know it's fine.
I just remember sitting there looking at like the Ozempic instruction thing. It's like eat clean, and I'm like, I haven't learned about the food pyramid since I was 12 years old, and I remember the home ec class in my middle school that taught it, and that was the eating clean symposium given to me to like carry me on my entire life. So that means nothing to me, eating clean. I needed a ton of help, and that I got it really like off of social media, seeing how other people went shopping for it, not just GLP-1 creators, but really
Hmm.
like, hey, I'm a healthy food guy, and this is what you go get at Costco. And I said, oh, okay. And then I'd go to Costco and go like look for that item. And that's how I kind of learned to eat clean in 2025, or 2024, really, but to kind of laugh about. Um, so anywho, I think there's like a lot more to this. If you're able, like, and I would keep going back, like if you're able to take this, lose 10 pounds and like that, wow, amazing, right? And get
Hmm.
off of it and like hit your goal for whatever the life event is, or just post like a birth or as you enter menopause. But like, I guess the more and more time I spend with it, the more and more instances of, oh yeah, you could gain a lot of weight after a car crash, or after a
Hmm.
death in the family, or after having a kid for the first time, or whatever it may be, that I was never sensitive to prior to my own little experiment on one of these.
So we'll kind of wrap this up with what would your best advice be to somebody thinking about going on GLP-1 or just starting a GLP-1?
So my best advice is definitely one, start with your doctor, and definitely do the, like, as scary as it is, do the baseline blood work, take the before and after, that before photo, but get in tune with your body and like really understand where you're at and just be open about it and don't be ashamed and scared. about like what those results will show. And then I really do think like if you have to be ready to make the full 180 lifestyle change, and you have to be buying into it. And it can't be like, oh, let me try this for 3 weeks. Like you have to be ready for 9 months or more. I just say 9 months because that's kind of what it took for me to see like
Mm-hmm.
the finality of my first foray. But I think it's about really being like coming to terms with where you are in your life, understanding this isn't just a quick fix necessarily. I don't think it is. I know we just spent some time on it, but like it's not a quick fix. It is a
Mm-hmm.
consistent journey, ramping up and changing your life. And it's not a cheat code. There's no cheating on one of these. I guess I didn't even say that in thinking about the way people call it cheating. It's really not cheating. It's getting you
Yeah.
back into the game. And like unless you're ready mentally, like I bring up maybe this might be a weird parallel, but when you go to rehab or Alcoholics Anonymous to get help with substance abuse, you can't just be dropped off by a friend. Well, you could, but like what you're taught is like you don't come into this room until you're ready, until you acknowledge you have an issue, and until you're ready to actually commit to fixing it. And I think it's the exact same parallel here. I think these things are that version, the weight loss version of that, a metaphor. And I was ready. I was beat down by a doctor. Not, I'm just being comedic, but like I had to have a doctor tell me you need to be put on a weight loss medication, and then walk to my car and just like thought about that. And that was the worst feeling in the world, or in that moment. Um, and so that's why I kind of said like, and then it made me know I had to be ready for my one personal experience with it. Like when a cardiologist, the most, it's your brain and your heart, right? My
Mm-hmm.
heart was at risk. I knew, like, even though I wasn't necessarily ready after that conversation with the doctor, cardiologist, I had to become ready, right? So for everyone lucky enough not to be born with a congenital heart defect, my advice is be like, when you're ready, there is now a medicine out there, a tool that can get you going and like push you down that hill. And you just got to keep moving your legs and your arms and using your brain to figure out like what's right and wrong for you. And you'll figure out, all the different foods that work or don't work, or the exercise that you like, that is, reliable for you. But I think that's my big advice there, is that if you're ready to make that lifestyle change, here's the opportunity to really do it. I'm trying to think of anything else, but that would be like the philosophical one. I'm trying to think of something tangible of like what not to eat or not, but like I still eat gummy bears. I still like, I'll go out and get an ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the one we didn't get touch on it. There's only been one time someone called me out on being on Ozempic without knowing it. And I was on a business trip to the Middle East, which is a huge host guest culture where it's all about making
Mm-hmm.
you comfortable. And I was at like a business dinner, and one of the hosts came up to me like 3/4 of the way through and asked if the food sucked. And like they had noticed that I wasn't touching the food. And that's the only time that someone actually called me out during 18 months on one of these medications.
Well, I want to thank you for giving up so much time to us. And now that this is over, all of Zach's information will be linked in the description. Go over to Zach Jack. Great channel, great videos. Like and subscribe. If you found this useful, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help. And thank you again,
Thank you,
Zach.
Lori.
It was a pleasure.
It was great meeting you.
All right, I'm going to wrap this up.